Okay, welcome back to the build, everybody. The car was starting to look complete and now it's all torn down again. That's what happens. You wind up putting things together, taking them apart, putting them together, taking them apart, especially when you don't do things in the proper order. So in this video, we are going to seam seal up the chassis. So stay tuned. Okay, so what are we up to? Well, basically, there's some areas on this chassis that are not what I would consider seam sealed or seam welded. So if you look at the front here, it's a solid, it's sort of a solid welded bead. So none of the elements can get into the cockpit, but along the side and also by the fuel tank area, there are unwelded areas, and this is just sort of by design. So I'm going to seam seal these areas up with some polyurethane, and also in the fuel tank area as well. All right, and what I'm doing now is I'm using the drill with a bristle brush, sort of a soft stainless steel brush, and just getting the oxidation off the aluminum so the urethane adheres, excuse me, can't speak, really well. All right, so I'm going to finish cleaning this up and then I'll show you how I mask the area off and seam seal it up. Okay, well, after using the stainless brush wheel to remove the oxidation, I basically used some masking tape and masked out the area where I want to apply the sealer, the polyurethane sealer. And this is a technique I found online, and I sort of like it because you use the caulking gun, you apply the polyurethane, you use a brush just to brush it out into the joint, and then you pull the tape off and it should look nice and neat when it's done. Even though all this will be hidden, I still like to do a neat job. All right, so we're going to try to do one section, then we'll take a look and see how it turns out. Here are the supplies I'm going to use. I picked up some of this 3M seam sealer, part number 08367. I like the polyurethane because it adheres well, and it's also relatively high temperature. Not as high as silicone sealer, but nothing really sticks to silicone sealer, and I want to put some sticky back sound dampening on top of these seams. So I figured I'd use polyurethane. Also picked up some of these acid brushes. I don't know why they call them acid brushes, but to me they're just disposable brushes. You get a whole pack for like $6. But anyway, we'll do a seam or two and then we'll take a look. All right, just ran the first bead. It's pretty simple stuff. It actually comes out of the caulking gun very smoothly, but I'm going to wipe this down with a brush, and then we'll pull the tape off and we'll take a look. Okay, we brushed that down. Got about 30 minutes setup time, so you have plenty of time to work with this. So I smoothed it out with the brush. I'll pull the tape off, we'll take a look. Okay, the masking tape has been taken off. Turned out it came out pretty good, but I will say what I did do, like this one's really good, but this one's a little clumpy on the top. So I think what I did was I used a little too much urethane, and it was a little too thick towards the masking tape edge. So if I would do anything different for the rest of the seams, I'm just going to apply a little less urethane and brush it out really well to make it nice and thin by the edge of the masking tape. Okay, well, we're done seam sealing the fuel tank area. This area came out really good. Used a little less glue and smoothed it out. It came out a lot better. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mount the closeout panel. And that we're going to use some silicone glue, but anyway, it's sort of standing over there. This actually requires a lot of work. I mean, I've done it all off camera, but we'll segue over to the panel and I'll show you what we're up to. Okay, well, here's the rear closeout panel, and Let's see, I bought a new iPhone and wow, the video on this is so much brighter and clearer. It's a shame I filmed 100 videos using my old iPhone 7. But anyway, this is a 15 Pro. Beautiful. But well, plenty more videos to capture with the new equipment. But anyway, I made this panel well over a year ago. This is the rear closeout panel for the fuel tank area. Basically, I have some external heat shielding. I'll move my drill. And I made that a while ago too. And I strategically put all these holes in the right place. That takes a lot of time. And then I have some threaded holes. I'm just going to use some of these ground down studs with points on them to orient the heat shielding properly on the panel, because it's got to be an exact fit. All right, so that's what we'll do next. Okay, well, I've got the heat shielding attached to the aluminum panel. It's actually a little forgiving. It takes about a day for that acrylic glue to set on the back so you can pull it off and reposition it. Turned out those little studs sort of work, but I had a little bit of an operator error. But anyway, we got it fitted perfectly. This is what we're looking at here. So we have these clips on the bottom of the panel, and that's for the wiring harness. Then we have a rubber grommet for the shifter cable, another rubber grommet for the wiring harness for the fuel pump that goes into the fuel tank area. We've got some holes cut out for the evap tubes and also the fuel line. And then that larger one up here, that is for the fuel filler neck. And I have a silicone U-channel trim that'll just finish that off nicely. All right, so we're gonna silicone this onto the chassis. And after that, the fuel tank area is really ready to be insulated with sound dampener and also an internal heat block. Okay, I think we're gonna call it a wrap here. So I've got that rear panel attached using silicone sealer. I get a silicone, 3M silicone, that's a slow set. So it literally takes over half an hour to set. So I have time to put all these screws in and tighten everything up and adjust whatever I have to. But anyway, this is looking good. So basically the next step back here is to put the dampening, butyl dampening pads. You can see some of them against the rear panel, but I'll line the whole area with a product called Damplifier Pro. And then I'll also add some closed cell foam. I'll cover that in an upcoming episode. Let's see if the new camera can see what's going on there. Pretty good. So anyway, it all came out really nice. All right, a lot of work. You know, it's just one panel with a ton of holes and heat shielding that you have to cut out very carefully if you want a neat job, but very happy with this. And as always, thanks for watching and take care.